Hello, this is Kirsty Saya, and I'm not in my minivan and I'm not in my comfort zone. I'm in my living room, and this is the first time that I am filming myself recording my podcast so that I can put this onto YouTube as promised. So, bear with me because I'm a little bit distracted by the whole new format thing, but I think it's going to be fun. I have lots of new changes to announce really soon, but this is, as promised, the first one, and that is getting this on YouTube. So the link to the YouTube video should be up on my Facebook page really, really soon. Anyway, without further ado, I wanted to get to today's topic, which is negotiating with yourself to get what you want. And I want to start with, like, you're envisaging yourself as the most incredible car, right? Your dream car. What is your dream car? I have mine in my mind. It is completely different from my husband's dream car, I will assure you. And I'm sure you have one in your mind. If it doesn't even exist, invent it. It is fully loaded. It is the most amazing car. And that's you, right? It's got everything you could possibly need and want. And life is a highway, as they say. So this is what's going to navigate you to go where it is you want to go, to amazing destinations on this incredible road trip, right? And so you've got this incredible, amazing car, which is just like, I mean, smell the new leather. It's amazing, right? And you have prepared for this road trip. You're excited about it. You have your playlist. You have your snacks. You have filled up with gas, checked engine oil, all the things, and you're ready to go. And you open up the driver's door, and you see there's your, like, fun inner child, the little you, just hanging out in the car seat. Not in the car seat, like in the driver's seat. And you're like, hey, and it's like, hey, road trip, and you're like, yeah, this is cool. Because, like, this is not to diss on the inner child. The inner child is amazing, so much fun, like wonder, joy, creativity, all the good things. But the inner child, like, or any child, is not in any position to be sitting at the driver's seat, right? Because you're sane, and we all know that we don't let children drive luxury vehicles or any vehicles at all. Especially, if you want to go somewhere, most kids are just going to be content if they're sitting in the driver's seat to just be like, beep, beep, putting, like, coins and crap in, like, all the vents and destroying the car, and then, like, jumping up and down, from back seat to the front seat, from back seat to the front seat, not really going anywhere, content to sit in the garage or in the driveway and not really going anywhere. Unless they're a real little hellion, and if they get the keys to the ignition, they are gonna take off and, like, find themselves in the neighbor's like, living room, which is, or anything even more catastrophic than that. So we don't let, if we're going on a trip, we don't let a kid sit in the driver's seat. You're not going to be like, oh, I call shotgun, yeah, you take it over. No, of course not. So you're going to say, cool, let's go, but you need to get in your car seat, 5-point harness, strap it in nice and tight, and then let's go. Okay, so why do we then allow our inner child to, this analogy is, like, pretty transparent. Why do we allow our inner child to make so many calls about our lives? And you might say, hey, yo, girl, I have not seen my inner child for years. I am completely burdened with adult responsibilities. I have so much going on. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I'm fully the grown-up 100% of the time. And that might be true, but I want to challenge that by saying, do you have maybe any kind of goals, like, or any aspirations, or anything that you need to address, or any bad situations that you need to get out of that you aren't addressing, that you aren't progressing in? Is there anything like that at all in your life? And if there is, and for most of us there is, it's because the inner child is in the driver's seat. And so what I want to talk to you about today is tips that I've picked up over the years for how to get the inner child back in their car seat, and through negotiation, pleasantly and easily, and get yourself, in the driver's seat and doing what you want to do. So there is this YouTube video. Well, actually, I saw it on Facebook, and it's Game of Thrones. It's like a Game of Thrones clip, which has been dubbed over. This subtitles over it, and it's entitled. It's hysterical. It's entitled "Me Getting Ready to Take My Kids to the Grocery Store." Maybe you've seen it, but I was hysterical laughing over this thing because I have 5 kids, and 4 of them were really close in age, and at one point I had like 4 of them 6 years and under, like to newborn. And so taking them to the store was this super mission. It was a big deal. And so I completely related to this. So I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I have informed myself enough to know that the woman who's sitting on the dragon and addressing this like group of really rough, tough looking people who I assume are her army or her tribe or whatever. So she's Khaleesi, I think, and she's sitting on this dragon, and she's like rallying the troops in some way, and they're all like rapt attention, and she's like, but the subtitles are rolling, and it says, "Okay, we're going to the grocery store," and they're all like watching, and then she's like, "We're gonna be there for like 30 minutes, and I need you to behave," and they're like, and then she's like, "We're gonna go to if there is a car cart, we will get it," and then they're cheering, really excited. Then she says, "We're gonna be going to the vegetable department, and we're gonna go in the frozen food department, and we will get ice cream there." And they're like, "Wow!" This is like really exciting stuff. And she's like, "But you should not ask for toys. Nobody ask me for a toy. I don't want any asking for toys." And they're all just staring. And then she's like, "But if everybody behaves, you will get a king-size candy bar at the end of the whole thing." And the crowd goes wild, and they're so excited, and she sort of smiles benignly at them, and she's like, "And if there's no trouble from anybody when we get home, we will eat ice cream, and we will watch The Incredibles Part 3 or whatever." And it was like so much more funny than the way I'm conveying it, but it was so relatable to me as a mom of, lots of small kids, taking them to the grocery store, big deal. It did feel kind of like rallying the troops at the time. So I, as well as finding it funny, I just thought it was such a good, it really showed good parenting. I was like, that's the way you got to do it, man. That is the way. You have got to lay it out. Expectations, incentives, rewards, all the things. So you're still like, where are we going with this? I've now given you 2 kind of analogies. Where are we going with this thing? Okay, so I want to talk about how maybe a real life application for how you are not in the driver's seat necessarily of your life, and see how we can negotiate your way back in. Okay, so one of the things that is really common that I find that people can't really kind of get a grip on is regular exercise. And I guess that's on my mind because I'm a personal trainer, so I know that people struggle a lot with that. And say, for instance, this is you. Maybe it's not, but just, let's go with it. And you go to the grocery store. No, you go to the doctor. And the doctor says, "Hey, you're in pretty decent health and everything. Do you work out regularly? Are you exercising?" And you're like, "Not really." And the doctor's like, "Seriously, you need to, like, at least something, half an hour, 3 times a week at the very least, maybe more, because and you're like, "Sure, I hear you. You're a responsible adult. You want to take care of your health. You know these things. It's the way it needs to be." And so you're like, okay, I will do that. And the doctor's like, what do you think you'll do? And you're like, maybe jogging. I used to like track in high school, or how about that? And the doctor's like, yeah, I can clear you for jogging. It seems you're in perfectly decent shape. Just take it easy, start it slow, and all that stuff. And you're like, cool, I'm gonna jog. Like, I can do this. It's time. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. So you come home and you're like, Monday, doc, I'm totally on it. So you come home, and on Sunday night you're like, oh, that's right, tomorrow's Monday. I got to start my whole jogging routine. And so you kind of have a quick conference. You and your inner child, and the team Kirsty has a little conference, and you're like, hey, you guys, doc says I gotta like get on with exercising. I need to make this a regular thing. So tomorrow, exciting news. I'm setting the alarm for 5:45. I'm going to be at the gym by 6. I'm going to jog. It's going to be fantastic. And your inner child is like watching Netflix and eating pizza, having a glass of wine. It's like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm down. Yes, let's do this thing. Not really paying a bunch of attention, but okay. And so you're all on board. You set the alarm. You go to sleep. And then comes 5:45, like 2 seconds later. And your inner child wakes up and is like, what is that noise? Why so early? Why so dark? Why so cold? What's the noise? And you're like, hey, yo, we talked about this. We're gonna have a jogging situation happening from now on, every morning at 6. We just talked about it. And the inner child is like, no, not today. Not today. It's Monday. Are you serious? Have you seen the temperature? Do you know how dark it is outside? Do you remember how much pizza we ate? Like, are you feeling up to this? Because I'm not feeling up to this. I have a headache. Like, are you not feeling the headache? And you're like, yeah, it's probably just too much wine. Come on, get up. And you're like, no. That headache could indicate flu. I really should take it easy. The flu's going around. I really should take it easy. And I just don't want to do it. I'm yucky. And you're like, oh, God, fine. Okay, fine. We'll do it tomorrow. Right, so the little whiny, tantruming inner child has won this round. And then the next day comes along, and you've had a hell of a Monday at work, and you're exhausted, you're burned out, and you're like, nope. Wednesday's a new Monday. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then yada, yada, yada. Skip to next year at your physical, and the doctor's like, so how's the jogging program? And you're like, yeah, about that. I'm totally going to get on it this Monday. Okay, so that's an example of inner child driving the car, right? You had all the good intentions. You told the whole team what was going to happen. It didn't happen because inner child won. And the inner child is the one that tries to get you to act according to how you feel. Emotions and feelings and moods and motivation. The inner child is just moved by all of those things. Whereas the adult is moved by responsibility and obligation and foresight and all those things. But in these matters, the inner child tends to win quite often. So how do we negotiate with the inner child? I feel like I'm really good at negotiating with kids. I have 5 of them, and I've worked with kids a lot. And I have become really quite skilled at negotiating with my own inner child with regards to exercise. Not with regards to everything by any means, but with regards to exercise, I'm kind of good at this. And so I wanted to give you some tips, which you might be able to apply, and I might be able to apply now that I'm thinking about it and focusing on it, to all sorts of different areas of my life. So people, and I'm a good exerciser as well. So I'm like tooting my horn in 2 different places. I negotiate well with children, and I am a regular exerciser, and I have been since I was 17. Mostly, if I wasn't paralyzed with PTSD, or I've exercised like when I was very pregnant, when I was as fat as a house, whatever. I have been very regular with exercise. And so people say to me like, oh my gosh, I just wish I had your motivation or your energy. And I'm like, you do not. You don't, trust me, because my motivation is crap and my energy level is pretty low. I am like pretty lazy. Like, I like to chill. I am like, there is not a single day. Okay, that's a total lie. I'm sure there's some days, but I can't think of any offhand where I wake up and I'm like, wow, let's go running. There is almost, without exception, every single time I go for a run, I negotiate with myself quite vigorously, I might add. So here's how it goes down. And I'm going to use my kid negotiating skills with myself to show you how this goes down. So I wake up, the same thing, you know, it's early in the morning, it's dark, it's cold, I feel yucky, I didn't eat well the night before, I had too much drink, whatever, and I need to exercise, I need to go for a run. And my inner child is like, don't want to. In fact, this happened a week before. Like last week, I actually felt really sick and I felt quite depressed, and I'd had a really triggering couple of days, and so I was feeling just emotionally and physically depleted on every single level. I was just not feeling it, and I had planned to run 4 miles that day, and I was like, and the weather was crappy, you know, it was just dark, it was ick, it was and I was like, I don't wanna. And so my mom voice, my grown up, was like, okay, look, hi, I hear you. So here's the first thing in negotiating with children. Nobody likes to be disrespected, right? We don't like to be disrespected by anybody, authority figures, friends, acquaintances, strangers. We just don't like it, right? We like to be treated with high regard. We like to be treated with respect. We like people to see the best in us, and to have high expectations of us based on what they think we can achieve, because they think we're great, right? So so the first thing is to be nice to yourself, like listen and validate what you're feeling, just like you would with a kid. You know, nobody likes to hear, you'll do it, you freaking loser, because I said so. Okay, first of all, nobody is motivated or energized or in any way like better by being called a freaking loser or you lazy bum or any of those things that we might be inclined to call ourselves when we're lacking in motivation. And also, nobody likes to be told, you'll do it because I said so. I am super allergic to that phrase. I grew up with that phrase, and I have issues with authority because of it, like random authority without reasons. Everybody wants a reason. Everybody wants to buy in for a reason, including kids, right? You need to know it's never a good idea to, take a kid and ask them to do something really difficult, and when they say why, just be like, because I said so. Like, no, maybe a kid will be motivated by because I said so out of fear and everything, but the minute your back is turned, they are going to do what they want to do. And so you're not going to change or win hearts or change behaviors by saying because I said so. You need to explain. There needs to be good reasons. There needs to be incentives. So here's what I'll tell myself. I'll be like, hey, I know you're feeling crappy, and that's understandable. Like, you're human and you've gone through quite a lot the last couple of days, and I can tell your energy level's low, but you really do need to run because you know how good you'll feel today if you do versus if you don't. Like, it gets your day really started, it keeps you on track, your schedule on track. Think about how much better you sleep when you run, just how much better you feel. Even showering, like getting into the bath or the shower after you've exercised and you see your rosy cheeks in the mirror and your body is all flushed and sweaty, and and just appreciate that shower so much more, and your heart is pumping and you just feel alive. Like, don't you want to feel like good when you get in the shower in like less than an hour? All it takes is a little bit of running. And so that's immediately like this immediate incentive, this little like, you have to have these immediate incentives, because I could say to myself, Kirsty, you're not getting any younger, and in like a decade you're gonna wish that you'd stayed on track. Like, that is completely unmotivating on the day that I don't feel like running. Like, everything like long term doesn't even exist. So I need to like have a motivation within the hour, right? And then I was like, and it's just so tedious and boring and I'm sick of it. And then the grown-up is like, okay, no, understandable, your playlist is getting pretty stale. Like, you've played that playlist a little too much, and so as a little treat, I'm going to download a couple great songs for you, and like some new motivating songs, because I do not let myself listen to my running playlist unless I'm running. That's that. It's just running playlist for running and nothing else. So I have some of my favorite songs on my running playlist, but once it gets stale, that incentive stops for me, right? So you need to have some kind of like, little incentive, like at the end of the shopping trip, you get a candy bar. And then, if I'm okay, fine. And then it's like, but I really am tired, like 4 miles, I'm achy, I'm sore, I'm depressed, I have nothing. And so I'm like, well, how about this? And what I'll really do at the beginning of each week in terms of working out is that I'll set like an intention for the week. Like, I need, apart from my yoga, which I do commit to doing every day, which is easy for me now because I have gotten into the habit. But running, I'll have a week's worth of mileage, because I don't want to say I will run 5 or 6 days this week, and then by Tuesday, if I didn't run Monday or Tuesday, I've already messed it up, and I've got, the whole thing is trash, so who cares? I usually set, I need to have run this many miles by the end of the week, and that way that, I can budget it according to my energy level, and if I am failing at the beginning of the week is not lost until it's over, so that's another way. Don't sort of set yourself up to fail. Don't also give yourself incredibly high expectations. We're not going to pick up a kid from daycare at 5 p.m. and not feed them and then take them on a 2-hour-long grocery shopping for the month, right? And expect them not to melt down. Same with us. Anything that we ask ourselves needs to be doable within the the framework of what our energy level is that day and everything, and those things vary, and so work with it. Your inner child is not a machine. It changes day to day. It's moody, it's temperamental, and so work with it. So that's how I work with it. I'm like, okay, cool, you've got this many miles set up, but so instead of doing 4 today, how about just do 2? You feel lousy, but just do 2. It's 2 more towards the goal, and you're going to be fine. 2 is fine, and 2 is nothing. You can do 2, especially with your new music, and then you just think of how good you're going to feel when you jump in the shower. And, you are like getting to, summer's coming, and you do want to lose a couple pounds this month. I do not want the thigh rub to happen for you. I don't want that for you this summer. I want you to just be comfortable and not self-conscious and be able to wear that cute new dress you bought. And so I've got the immediate like incentive of how good I'm going to feel in the shower, the new music, and then just kind of a reality check, a little reminder about summer's coming and all this adds up. It's not as powerful in the moment, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. Okay, so what I know as a grown-up and at the back of my mind is that me, like 80%, and that's a real statistic, of people will always do more once they get started. If they're feeling unmotivated, which motivation is nonsense. Don't even worry about not being motivated. If they're feeling like really crappy and horrible, once they get started, almost 80% of people will do more. So all you have to do is just ask very little of yourself to get started, just that incremental little bit. Because really a great predictor of happiness is progressing just slightly in one area of your life every day, just one area of your life, making some progress, that is a very good predictor of happiness in people, as long as they know that they're progressing one little bit. So yeah, 2 miles instead of 4, it's still 2 miles. I need to be sure though that if I do 2 miles, I'm going to be content if it is just 2 miles. I need to not like mess with myself, manipulate myself into doing 2 miles and then be really mad at myself if it ends up being just 2 miles. Almost always, 80% of the time, me, like everybody else, I will do more. I will do my original goal and sometimes even more after that, because I'm like, look at me go, right? But I also need to be content that if my body says no and my mind says no and I just really am that burnt out, that I'm still content with myself. Because when we do things that we set out to do, when the grown-up gets in the driver's seat and has a successful experience, and the grown-up becomes a lot more confident in their parenting of that inner child, right? And it's like, I can do this. I had a good outcome and I'm going to do it again. And that's when it builds on. When we start to become a good, fair parent who gets results, we have confidence in our parenting of both our own children, if we have them, but also of our inner child, and of getting things done. So you want to feel good about yourself. If you set that sort of low bar, be content with achieving just the low bar. But keep in mind that 80% of the time you actually will do what you thought you couldn't do. So that's really good news, right? So that's how I negotiate. And again, the being kind to yourself and validating yourself from the get-go is so, so important. Even when I negotiate with kids, my own and children, like I don't even know, on the playground, and I see something is going down that looks a little sketchy and it looks like some kind of bullying or unkindness, I have had such good luck going to kids and saying, you know what? You did not strike me as a mean kid, but what I'm seeing here looks like sort of mean behavior. So what gives? Like, what's the situation? And I'm not being manipulative, because most of the time I really do believe that kids aren't that mean. Sometimes they're thoughtless and sometimes they get in kind of a mob mentality. And so that always gives kids pause. I don't know of a single time. Actually, there's one time that it just made no impact on a kid, but that's the one time. Every time when you approach a kid with that kind of positive regard and say, you look like a kind person, why aren't you acting like a kind person? It throws them off guard and it makes them less defensive, and they want to live up to that expectation. So talk to yourself like, hey, Kirsty, you aren't lazy just because you're feeling yucky and depressed and tired and achy today. There's a lot going on. You're actually an athlete, you're not a lazy slug. You feel like one today, but that's not who you are. You're an athlete and you get stuff done. So, that's something that, these are all tips maybe that you could use in getting in the driver's seat of your own life and negotiating with that inner child firmly, kindly, with good incentives, with a real why to get that inner child to really buy into it, and then rewards afterwards, like, you did this, you're great, like, put some Epsom salts instead of a shower, take a bath, listen to your favorite podcast while you do. So all those things. So I hope my little tips for how to negotiate with your little bratty self, who's also very, very awesome, but sometimes keeps us from getting our goals done, have been helpful to you today. I hope that if you're watching this on YouTube, it's like fun for you. It hasn't been as bad for me as I anticipated. So let me know what you think. Give me any ideas that you have for negotiating with your inner child or your your emotional self, and how you get things done and how you get into the driver's seat. And thanks so much for tuning in. I can't wait for the next episode where I'll have all the exciting things to announce. It's big, it's exciting, it's great. And until then, have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.